Okay, so on your note in your notes packet, page 9, there's not a whole lot of notes today. It's just some things for you to fill in. Okay, some blanks to fill in. So the top reasons why we may see a misleading graph. Okay, so you're gonna fill in the blanks here. The scale on the axis begins at something other than 0. Okay, fill in that word in the blank. And then we'll talk about all of these. Other than 0. Those are the two you need to fill in. Okay, now companies do this a lot. Okay? Companies try to mislead us. Every time you watch the news is misleading all the time, right? Everything you hear on social media, on TV, everything, we kind of have to take, you always have to ask yourself, what's the other side of the story? Right? Because they're always going to try to put a spin on something to catch the majority of people's attention or what the hype is right now. Okay? Obviously, there's a lot of hype in the news right now. So if you watch the news, you have to be thinking about, but is that the whole story? Okay? And they want us to believe their side of the story all the time. And sometimes they show us graphs that aren't always so true. Okay? So sometimes the scale on the axis begins at something other than 0. Instead of numbering the graph starting at 0, they number starting it at 40 or 50 or 100. And they skip a whole chunk of the graph. Okay? The second one, the intervals on the axis are not equal. The intervals are not equal. Okay, and you guys tend to do this all the time, kind of by mistake. When you number a graph, sometimes you don't always count evenly. Okay? Sometimes you'll count by 2s or count by 5s, but sometimes you'll skip some numbers in there, and it happens. The next one, the circle graph does not add up to 100%. That seems really silly, but I'll show you a graph where that is true. Okay, it may be a pictograph, and the pictures may distort the data. So it may look like something other than what they're trying to tell you. And then finally, the title might be misleading. Okay? Okay, I want you to turn your Chromebooks around right now so you're not sitting on your Chromebook, except for those of you at home. I want you to actually be paying attention up here. Those of you at home, stay on your Chromebook. Leave it facing you so I can see you. But those of you in here. I know, I literally can't see hardly anybody anyway, except for their foreheads. All right, so I'm going to show you some graphs, and we're going to explain why they're misleading. Okay, so you don't need to write anything right now. You just need to pay attention. Okay, so look at this one. The price of a pound of apples in selected cities in September 2000. What do you think's wrong with this graph? Okay, and you can look back at your notes and look at what might be a reason why this is misleading. Brinley.
The picture distorts the data.
Yeah, the pictures make it look like, would you not look at this and say, oh, Dallas must have a way higher price per pound than New York. Okay, that apple is much bigger. But in reality, it's not really that big of a difference. Okay, Brinley.
They also put a picture on a bar graph.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. There should be no pictures on a bar graph. You guys, people do this all the time because they try to make graphs look fun. Graphs are supposed to be boring. Okay, when I did my master's research project, when I got my master's degree, I had to put a lot of graphs in it, and literally, they're kind of boring to look at. They're supposed to be just bars and numbers and nothing that exciting. So when they post graphs like this, they're trying to get your attention. Okay, so they put a picture on it, and it shouldn't be. It really should just be a graph that has a bar for New York, a bar for Chicago, and a bar for Dallas. Would it look as much like there's that big of a difference if it was like this? No, but because they put it like this, it makes it look like Dallas charges way more than New York. Okay? So the pictures definitely make it misleading. Okay, how about this one? What's wrong with this graph? This one shows the federal minimum wage rates since 1980. So in 1980, minimum wage was $3.10. That's what you made an hour. In 1997, it was $5.15. Somebody online said, it doesn't start at 0. Do you see that? It starts at $3. So they left out this entire part of the graph that should have been $2.50 to $1.50, 50 cents. The graph should go down to here. This should be 0. Think about how different that graph would look. Okay, I'll show you. This is what would happen if these boxes were made like they're supposed to be made. There would be a bar there, a bar like that, all the way up to this one, which would look like that. That looks very different, right? Do the bars look that big of a difference in size now? Not quite. There's still a change, right? Prices still went up. But before, this little bar right here represented 1980. It makes it look like by 1997, minimum wage really increased. Did it? No. It went up by $2.05. Okay. When you take this entire bar, now you can see that it didn't even quite double. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. What else is misleading about this? So the fact that it didn't start at 0 is misleading. What else is wrong with it?
Inconsistency of the years.
The inconsistency of the years. They left out a bunch of years. You notice that? It went 1980, 81, 90, 91, 96, 97. What about 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89? What do you think happened in those years? It didn't change. So there should be a whole bunch of bars that are the same height. You can't just leave them out. Okay? This makes it look like over the years that it has been a pretty steady increase. The other thing that's wrong with this, it's not the right kind of graph. What kind of graph should have they used? If you're trying to show the change over time, a line graph. They should have made a line graph. That's going to look very different than a bar graph. They wanted you to see the bars and think, wow, minimum wage has really gone up. In reality, it hasn't. Okay? So, one way they try to trick you. Okay, how about this one? Ticket prices for baseball and basketball. Caleb.
First of all, they used it in like pictures.
They use pictures again. Okay, we shouldn't do that. It should just be a bar. Brooklyn. The years, they skipped a whole bunch of years in there. Okay. Should it be a bar graph? No, again, it's the wrong kind of graph. This should be a line graph, right? It's over years. So they're picking a kind of graph that they're trying to show you. To me, this catches my eye and must be that basketball prices are ridiculous. I mean, they kind of are, but it makes it look like they're much bigger than what they actually are. Okay? All right. How about this one? What's wrong with this? This is a graph talking about interest rates. This is a graph that I pulled offline. Interest rates from 2008 to 2012. Friendly.
Should it be a line graph?
Yep, it should be a line graph. It shouldn't be a bar graph at all. What else is wrong with it? Go ahead, Zachary.
It doesn't start at 0.
It doesn't start at 0. You guys look at the numbering here. How much did interest rates really change in those 5 years? It went from 3.140 or 3.142 to 3.152. It changed by 1/100th of a percent. Does it look like that on the graph that it only changed? Like, that's hardly anything. Okay, here's what the graph should look like. Okay, if they weren't trying to mislead you, here's what it should look like. Do you see much of a change? Do they all look like they're the same height? Because they practically are, right? When they do a graph like this, what they've done is they've taken this very, very top section of the graph and they've zoomed in on it. And they left out all of this other stuff. Okay, they're just zoomed in on the top. So it didn't start at 0, is why it was misleading. Okay. How about this one? Really?
Changing over time.
It should be a line graph again. So notice how bar graphs get used to try to trick you. Not only that, but did the price of houses increase that much?
No.
No, it only went up 2,000. Right? It went from 80,000 to 82,000. If this was made correctly and started at 0 like it should have been, the graph would look more like that. They, again, just zoomed in on the top because they didn't start at 0. So it made it look like in 1998 to 1999, it like tripled in price. It didn't triple in price. Okay? That makes sense to everyone? All right, next one. What's wrong with this? What looks weird about this? Besides the fact that, again, it's years and probably should have been a line graph. But what else is wrong with it? Caleb.
It's 3D.
It's 3D. Okay? Sometimes companies will try to make a graph 3D because they want you to believe that 1995 was bigger than 1997. It's not. They're actually the same. Okay, 95 and 97 are actually the same. If it was not 3D, it would look like that. What else is missing? Yeah. It does distort it because of how it's, but it doesn't have any labels on the one axis, right? It has the 95, 96, 97, 98, but it has nothing labeled on the y-axis, up and down. Okay. Here's some interesting ones. Okay, these are actual graphs that were shown on the news, and it amazes me that this happens. Fox News is kind of, if I Google misleading graphs, Fox News comes up with the most misleading graphs of any news station. Look at this circle graph that they tried to make. Even 7th graders know what's wrong with it. What's wrong with this circle graph? Guys, this is embarrassing that they put this on the news. Really, what's wrong with it?
It's like doesn't start. It like doesn't have 100. It's all like 60s and 70s.
Right. So aren't circle graphs supposed to add up to 100%? Right? And we know as kids, but somebody was hired to make this graph, and they put it on the news.
Go back to 7th.
Right, they should go back to 7th grade, because that is not correct. And then I love the source. The source is opinions. Good, I'm glad you're reporting on opinions. It's very accurate data. No, it's not. Okay, so always pay attention to where the source is coming from. Dynamic opinions, good. Probably not accurate, okay? And this was like the 2012 presidential race. So how many people were backing Palin, Romney, Huckabee? And maybe some people were kind of on the fence about 2 candidates, but you can't try to put that on a circle graph then. Okay? Yeah.
The 70 should be a little bit bigger.
Yeah, they should be, right? 70% is way bigger than what it looks like. And it's kind of made 3D, so they all look about the same. They wouldn't really fit on a circle graph. It's kind of ridiculous that they would even try to make that a circle graph. Okay? Here's another one that was on Fox News. Federal welfare received in the United States. I'm guessing that they were trying to get people to believe what? What do you think they're trying to get people to believe? Any ideas? Here's my guess. They're trying to get you to believe that from 2009 to 2011, there was a lot more people on welfare. Was there? No, not really. Look at this. The number of Americans on welfare went from 97 million to 107 million. Really only 10 million more people. And when you're looking at the entire United States, 10 million is not very much. Okay, but what did they do? How did they make that graph misleading? Brooklyn. They zoomed in again. They did not start at 0 right here. They did okay on the years. Also, it shouldn't be a bar graph, should it?
Yes.
No, it should be a line graph. If it was a line graph, we wouldn't have been as misled. Because we wouldn't see all these bars and think, wow, that bar got way bigger. We would just see a line. Okay? All right. Oops. Okay. Back to our notes. The second part of your notes. Top reasons why statistics may be misleading. Okay, the first one, a random sample was not used. Okay, sometimes we don't necessarily have a graph to go with something, but we read about it. We read about the data and they tell us how it was collected. Okay, now if a random sample wasn't used, that means if I want to find out, if I want to survey people about their favorite sport, I should go stand outside the Twins game after a Twins game and ask people. Why not? Why wouldn't that be a good idea? Britt, go ahead.
Because, like, it depends if they won or not.
Kinda. Okay. I'm gonna assume if I'm standing outside of a Twins game, people probably like baseball. Right? So if I'm gonna ask people about their favorite sport, what do you think most of them are gonna say? Baseball. Some of them might say hockey, right? You'll get a couple different opinions. But if I stood outside a soccer game and asked people about their favorite sport, they might like soccer. If I stood outside a football game, that might be their favorite sport. So I'm skewing the data when I ask those people, where should I survey people about their favorite sport? Where should I go to get a random sample?
A random
place.
A random place. Maybe go to the mall. Sit in the middle of the mall and ask random people as they're walking past me, what's your favorite sport? I think I'm going to get a better judge of people. Same as if I ask people their favorite place to shop for clothes. I'm not going to go to the mall and stand at American Eagle or Hollister. Okay, that might be their favorite place to shop. That's why they're there. I'm not going to stand at Shields. Okay? I'd maybe need to stand someplace completely random. Okay, so always make sure you have a random sample. The next one, the sample size was too small. Okay, the sample size was too small. Okay, if I want to find out about students' favorite types of lunch at school, and I only ask you guys, that's probably not a big enough sample of the whole school. Okay, I probably would need to randomly pull 50 or 60 kids from the hallway and ask, not just my first hour 7th grade math class. I would want to make sure that I have a mix of some 6th graders, 7th graders, 8th graders, and boys and girls, and kind of random, not just this group. Okay, and then the last one, a measure of central tendency is used that does not give an accurate picture of the data. Okay, and I'm going to show you some examples of this so that you understand what that means. But measure of central tendency means mean, median, mode. Okay, so they're using one of them that kind of tends to sway us in one direction or the other. Okay, so here's some statistics that we would see. Shopping at Save A Lot can save you up to $100 a month. Colburn's does this all the time. Okay, when Colburn sends out their ad, they used to send out penny pinchers. Do you remember those? When you get the little pamphlet in the mail of penny pinchers? And it was always like exciting at our house, like, how much money can you save? Well, they'd always have on the front, and then oftentimes they do in their ad, they'll say you can save up to $265.36. Am I going to save that much money? No. Am I going to save $100 here? Maybe. How do you save that much?
You gotta buy a lot.
You got to buy a lot, right? You have to buy everything that they put on sale and probably the limit of the quantity. Do you need that much? Probably not. Do I need 10 things of toilet paper? Probably not. That's why people hoarded, right, last year and had too much toilet paper. And then we ran out. Okay? So shopping at Save A Lot can save you up to $100. Those words, up to. That doesn't mean you're going to save $100 a month, but people see the 100 and think, oh yeah, I'm going to save that much. Okay, how about this one? A small business has 5 employees with the following salaries. $90,000 is the owner, $18,000, $22,000, $20,000, $23,000. The owner places an ad, okay? So you don't know these things when you read the ad. Help wanted, average salary is $34,600. Is the owner lying? No. This really is the average. If you add up all of these numbers and divide by 5, you get $34,600. Not lying. That is the average. How is he misleading you? Or she? How are you being misled? Should have they used the average? Friendly.
No, because there's an outlier.
Yeah. This is an outlier, right? The owner. Should the owner make more money than everybody else? Probably, right? But they also probably shouldn't tell you that if you get hired, you're going to make $34,600 because you're not going to. All of these employees will hate you. Right? They maybe been working there a long time and now you're making way more than them. Okay, should have they told you the average? No, what should have they told you? Friendly. They should have said the median. The median salary is $22,000. Will you maybe make around $22,000? Yes, but you're not going to make this much. Okay, and that's how they can get you in the door. That's how they get you to apply. Because they give you these hopes that you're going to make that much, and you probably won't. Okay. How about this one? Total profit at Target for the 3-month period from June 1st to September 1st was $2 million. Total profit from Walmart for the 3-month period from October to January was $5 million. By reading this, I'd have to assume that Walmart's the better store to shop at. They make way more money. What's wrong with this data? Anybody notice? Brooklyn?
The dates are different.
The dates are different. Can we compare 2 companies at different times? Why not? What happens between October and January that doesn't happen from June to September? Zachary? Christmas. Do you think Target probably makes a lot more money around Christmas time? Yeah, probably every store does. So I can't look at Walmart's profits over Christmas compared to Target's profits in the summer. 4th of July, I don't think that's pulling as much money as Christmas. Back to school shopping maybe, but still probably not as much as Christmas. Okay. Last one. A chewing gum company advertises that the flavor of its new chewing gum lasts for an average of 55 minutes based on the following durations reported by customers. Somebody chewed their gum for 12 minutes, 33 minutes, 5 minutes, 200 minutes, and 25 minutes. What's wrong with that data? Brinley?
There's 2 outliers, 5 minutes and 200.
Yeah. You have two very extreme differences. Okay, and the person who chewed their gum for 200 minutes, they're lying. Right? They gotta be. Gum doesn't last that long. Do you think? They're like the girl on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, right? Who chews their gum forever. Okay, so there's an outlier. They use the wrong measure of central tendency. They shouldn't have used the average. They should have used the mean, or the median. Okay? Does that make sense to everyone? All right. So